Hello, and welcome back to Uncommon Sense Life. This is my video diary to track the progression of my MS and its impacts on my executive function. Today, I wanted to speak again on our Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Previously, I spoke about the First Amendment. Let's move on to the Second Amendment. It's in the hands of the Supreme Court right now, looking at a court case out of New York. So I thought it'd be fitting to kind of talk and give a little bit of a history lesson, at least as I was taught, as to the reason and the need for the Second Amendment. So the Bill of Rights and the amendments within, again, remember, are there to protect you against a government, the institution, not your neighbors, not businesses, the government. That is your protection, is to prevent the government from overstepping its limits and taking away your rights. So let's read it. Let's figure this out. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, so a militia, everyone tries to, gun controls. It's a militia, individuals aren't militias. Well, individuals make up militias. Militias, can be regulated. They say well-regulated, but define well-regulated. That means you and your neighbors agree that if the government gets out of hand, you're going to join together. And being necessary to the security of a free state. Go figure. They knew that sometimes governments get stupid and try to take away your liberties and your ability to make your own decisions. And so sometimes individuals must gather together as a militia to protect themselves and maintain a free state, because the government has its own people that they try to use to influence and suppress you. And the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which is crazy because they have been infringing on it. If you went back and thought about it, if individuals who gather together to protect themselves from the government, you would need the same weaponry and the same type and ammo and guns and protection and everything else that your military has. I don't have several $100 million laying around. And they also have instituted laws to prevent me from having the same weaponry as our military. So we're already behind the eight ball on trying to protect our free state and the security of that free state as a militia, because they've already taken away our means and ability to arm ourselves against our own government. So what do? Well, I guess it's in numbers then. You hope that a well-regulated militia or enough individuals come together with enough weaponry, even though it's not going to be on par with what your military and your police and whomever else is stomping down your neighborhoods and knocking on your doors and trying to impose what they want on you, that you've got enough numbers to at least create a stalemate and hopefully open up a dialogue to prevent people from starting to shoot each other. That's why I find, some people's definition of what an insurrection is. An insurrection generally is highly armed, very forceful, and not a bunch of bumbling idiots falling over some half-assed barricades and unlocked doors to go meandering through some hallways and causing some stupid destruction and disrupting some other government activities, and to have it then called an insurrection. But that being said, what are we to do? Our government has eroded our ability to have the same weaponry as what our military does. And at every turn, local governments try to impose restrictions and taxes to infringe on your ability to keep and bear arms. So, you know, our justice system or our legal needs to be tested more frequently than what it is. I think more people need to raise a flag or an arm or hand and get lawyers together and sit down and say, you are infringing on my rights that are protected by the Second Amendment. It's basic language. And as I've talked before, English is a difficult language, apparently. And we do tend to change the definitions of words. But, security of a free state, the right, not just a suggestion of the people, so it's people, not militias, people make up militias, but it's the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Not a real, well-regulated militia where every weapon and gun is stored in some warehouse and you have to go in and sign your gun out and, all stand in formation. You should probably ask the Redcoats how that worked out for them, all marching in order and lining up and hoping that, the little groups and bands of, these revolutionists that, tried to break away from the tyranny of the government, they didn't want to play by the same rules. So, again, I guess that's what we would have to do since we're not allowed to have the same weaponry. We don't get to play by the same rules. But again, hopefully it's pure numbers, which then creates time for people to stop and start talking, create a debate, a true debate, not a one-sided, if I don't get what I want, I'm going to create a scene. I'm going to call you this ist or this ick and get things spun out. So I think that we as a people need to exercise our rights to protect ourselves from our government. Now, owning guns has side benefits. You can use them in home and self-protection, self-defense. Because also when this was written, the population density isn't what it used to be. Or it's much greater in certain areas. But, everyone keeps going on about needing high capacity magazines and high capacity, high performance guns. Well, you know what? You go out in the middle of Montana, start traipsing around and come across a pack of wolves or a grizzly bear, mama grizzly bear with her cubs. You're going to need more than a single shot rifle to protect yourself. You're going to need a lot more, a lot bigger, and even in some cases, a lot more and a lot bigger than what you're even allowed to take because your government has infringed on your ability to protect yourselves at the same level they feel they need to be protected. So, it's crazy, but, I personally own a number of them, and if necessary, I have the knowledge and the skill set to protect myself and my family. But my guns weren't purchased primarily for self-defense. They weren't necessarily purchased for hunting, but, if it ever came down to it, I've gone hunting in the past and I could go hunting again. I know where my food can come from or how to go source food if need be with hunting. But it is primarily purchased, and I was in the military when I started, purchasing guns to prevent a tyrannical government from taking over and suppressing my rights. That's why it's called the Bill of Rights. These amendments were, again, put in place to protect you from your governments, whether it be a local government, state government, or federal government. It's there for you to protect yourself and giving you rights from your government. So we're already, again, behind the eight ball. We've had these rights eroded with restrictions. I'm glad to see, certain challenges are out there. I wish there were more challenges. You can talk about people's mental states, and we talk about mental health, and that there's some people out there that shouldn't be allowed to have firearms, and you're absolutely correct. But how you identify those people ahead of time is impossible. Unfortunately, you have to wait before they play their hand and expose themselves for being the crazy that they are, so that we can honestly have a debate and a discussion on whether or not they should be allowed to have guns. You just don't do it on the forefront and say no one can have them, because not all of us are crazy. Well, some of us are getting there. But again, buy a weapon. Even if you don't buy one, go to a range, rent one. There's a lot of places. Try it out. You might like it. It actually can be fun. Don't be afraid of them. And I think that's also too, is people are afraid of what they don't understand and what they've never been exposed to. So this idea that guns are bad, it's not the gun that's bad. The gun itself and the ammo that's in it has never killed anybody unless someone is holding it or someone's really done something stupid with it. It takes a human generally to discharge a firearm. I've heard of cases of animals doing the same thing, inadvertently. But again, that's become, with training and exposure and understanding of what it is you have and what it's meant to be and what it's meant to be used for. So hopefully this has enlightened you a little bit. I doubt it. Those who are already in support of the Second Amendment are already out purchasing what they want. Not necessarily what they want, but what they can get. And those who have been told to fear them are going to fear them. Just remember, when we started imposing a number of laws in an effort to reduce gun violence, it's not a sane person who is committing crimes. It's not a law-abiding person who is committing these crimes. You always hear about the crazy person or the criminal, and they've never gone through a background check. Well, I shouldn't say never, but most of them don't buy their guns from gun stores or through legal channels and have their IDs checked and their backgrounds checked, and the government, putting a fine tooth through their beard to find out if they're crazy or not. So understand that a majority of the people, your neighbors, your friends, your family, are all eligible and suitable to own a firearm and potentially have to be part of a militia to protect you and themselves from the tyranny of an out-of-control government. Thank you. Just remember, if common sense were common, I wouldn't have to say anything. So I guess I have to.